What is Itikaaf? The Itikaaf for the full last 10 days of Ramadan is Sunnah Muakkada. This is to remain in the masjid with the niyyah of Itikaaf at the time of the setting of the sun on the 20th of Ramadan and to exit the masjid on the 30th after sunset or on the 29th after the moon has been sighted. If one makes the niyyah of Itikaaf on the 20th after Maghrib, then the Sunnah Muakkada has not been fulfilled. So, what about the rulings of Itikaaf? Well, this Itikaaf is Sunnah Kifaya, meaning that if omitted by all, meaning the entire community, they will all be held accountable. And even if one person performed it in the town, then all of that community have been cleared of this responsibility. So who can perform itikaf? To fulfill this communal sunnah, the person doing it must be Muslim, sane mind, and pure from impurity, such as janaba, haid, and nifas. A child, meaning someone who is non-baligh, can fulfill this communal sunnah so long as he is in a sense of understanding and respect and stays in the masjid with the intention of itikaf. So, which mosques are most rewarding to sit in them? Well, the greatest reward are in the following places and in the order that they are mentioned. So, the first one is Masjidul Haram in Makkah. The second one, Masjidul Nabawi in the great city of Medina, and Masjidul Aqsa in Jerusalem. And whichever mosque has the largest congregation, meaning the Jama'ah. And as for itikaf for women, it is makruh, meaning disapproved, for a female to perform itikaf in a masjid, but she should rather perform itikaf in her home. And she should perform it in the area which she has set aside for performing her daily salah. And this is known as Masjidul Bayt. And fasting during the itikaf is a prerequisite, meaning that if somebody wants to perform itikaf during the last 10 days of Ramadan, for them to be in itikaf and seclusion, they must perform fasts. In other words, without fasting, no one can sit in itikaf. You have to be fasting and then become in seclusion from the rest of the community. And as for leaving the masjid, the itikaf will also be invalidated if he leaves the masjid without a valid, meaning shari'i reason. Likewise, if a female performed the itikaf in the Masjid al-Bayt, she is not permitted to leave there without a valid reason. If she comes out of there, even though she may be in the same house, the itikaf is invalidated. And there are two reasons for which a mu'takif may leave the masjid. The first one is hajat tabi'i. In other words, that which cannot be fulfilled in the masjid, such as if the person needs to pass urine or stool, clean impurities, or perform wudu or ghusl. And the other one is what we call hajj shara'i. In other words, to go out for Eid or Jum'ah, or to go onto the minaret to call out the azan, in the case when the access to the minaret is outside of the masjid. If one performed itikaf in a masjid wherein Jamaat does not take place, then he is permitted to leave the masjid for Jamaat at another masjid. However, one thing to take note of is that the itikaf is invalidated even if a person leaves the masjid to save someone. such as a drowning or a burning person, or visit a sick person, or to join Salatul Janazah. And as far as returning immediately, then they must understand the following, that if he, meaning the mu'takif, went to answer the call of nature, he should return immediately after performing ablution. He's not permitted to wait. And if the home of the mu'takif is far away from the masjid and the home of his friend is near the masjid, it is not necessary that he should go to answer the call of nature at the home of his friend, but he may also go to his own home. And if he has two homes and one is nearby and one is far away, then he should go to the one which is closer. But then the question arises that what does not break it, what reduces the reward? Well, actions such as swearing, being vulgar, and fighting, they do not invalidate the itikaf, but it becomes void of nur, meaning light and blessings. And as far as eating and drinking in the masjid is concerned, none other than a mu'takif is permitted to eat or drink in the masjid. And if one wishes to do any of these, he should make the niyyah of itikaf and enter the masjid. And as for a person who's in itikaf, who runs a business, can he run his business whilst being in itikaf? Well, to answer that question, it is permissible for a mu'takif to buy or sell something in the masjid to fulfill his own necessities or that of his children and family, on condition that those items are not in the masjid. And in addition, even if they are present in the masjid, they should be so few that they do not take up the space in the masjid. And if he buys or sells with the intention of business, then this is not permissible, even though the items are not in the masjid. And as far as talking is concerned, normal speech, which is neither a sin or a reward, which is permissible, meaning mubah, at other times is makruh for the mu'takif, because that eats away your virtuous deeds just as fire eats away at wood. It is a valuable waste of time. And if the speech is vulgar and a sin, then it is wajib to save the tongue from such speech. And just staying silent with the intention that this silence is worship, this is makruh tahrimi. Rather, recite the Quran, do zikr, or seek knowledge.